For you guys that don't know, we've been talking about the top 2028, 2029 Kentucky guys here lately on Pure Prospects. And today we're going to go a little further. My guest is a former high school All American at Ballard High School in Louisville, Kentucky. He played at the University of Louisville and played professionally. Today, he knows what he's talking about and sees what kids play at the highest level. Joining me is Brandon Bender. Brandon, man, I appreciate you taking your time and joining the live this afternoon.
Appreciate you having me.
Let's get back. Before we get into these players, I want audience, to know a little bit about your journey. You were one of the top high school kids in Kentucky during your era. What was recruiting like for you, coming out of Ballard, and what separated the elite guys from everybody else?
The competition. We were fortunate enough to travel, and we got a chance to travel across the United States to play. Against elite level competition, not just district and region games.
How was rankings back then?
It was good. It was a lot of rankings was based off of your high school team and what you do at basketball camps like the ABCD camp or the Nike Top 100 camp or Nike camp in Indianapolis or you know that's what it was.
How did coaches reach out to you, or you reach out to them back in the day?
I had a few AAU coaches, and one of my high school coaches who kind of started me out was Jeff Morrow, who's the current coach at Louisville Eastern. He's the one that kind of got me started. Um, Going into my eighth grade year, I had my first offer from Kentucky. Going into my eighth grade year,
Wow.
that was my first offer, and that summer, going into my ninth grade year, um, I kind of went to Ballard to play for him and really took off from there. And was very fortunate enough to be invited for Team USA. Won 3 gold medals 3 years in a row. And
Whoa.
if it wasn't for him setting me up for that success, it would have never happened.
All right. So when you're evaluating a guard or wing, because you're working with the Kentucky guys too, right?
I have a few guys that I kind of, try to help mentor, and kind of, try to see the good in them and the good in their parents. If they have any questions, I'm always here for an answer.
So when you look at a guard or wing, man, what's the first thing that notice that a kid can play at the next level?
A kid's got to show me that they can play on both ends. Like if you can play, if you can control the pace as a guard on offense, and then you can come back on defense and show me that you can actually stop your man, then I'll get on the phone and make the appropriate phone calls.
Man, what about bigs? What separates a good high school big man from someone that can eventually become a college level player?
Mostly a rim protector, but if you can run in from block to block and know your position and know your role and contribute to your team, and it's not always about scoring as a big. It's more about rebounds, block shots, deflections, and getting playing defense.
All right, so let's jump in the 28 class. Because this is a group I've talked about on a lot on Pure Prospects. I think it has some legitimate national level talent at the top. But what makes this class so interesting is the depth that continues to develop behind those names. Josh Lindsay. Let's start with Josh Lindsay. Man, he's received significant recognition as one of the self. I think he's ranked 34th by 24/7 Sports, in the 40s by ESPN. When you watch a player that has that type of national attention this early, what do you want to see him over the next 2 years at St. X?
Well, I've watched him play a few different times. Next, their head coach does a pretty good job. Klein does a really good job. He's been there for some time. He's done really well. This year, I just think that in order for Josh Lindsay to kind of take that next leap, that they need to really kind of try to focus on putting the ball in his hands to make sure he can play that point guard position going to college if you want to go to a certain level. Because there's not many 6'1", two guards in college basketball. And I think that would benefit the kid is, putting the ball in his hands. And he comes from good stock. His father, Jesse Lindsay, was a real basketball player. Like that dude was pretty good. So, he's got some good genes there too.
That kind of stumps me as I look. If I was looking from the outside in, Josh is ranked in the 30s and 40s, but he didn't even play point guard for St. X last year, and I'm not certain that he's going to play point guard for St. X this year. So if I'm a college coach or a scout and I'm looking in and saying, all right, this guy has to play at the point guard for my program because, like you said, there's not very many 6'1", 6'2" point guards, in college. So I think for his development, he does have to play at the point guard position, but I'm scratching my head wondering why St. X does not have him at the point position because that's what he's going to play at the collegiate level.
Right. Well, everybody has to work on something, and he Josh is just in a situation where he has to continue to grow and develop. We know he has the athleticism. He's got elite athleticism, but he has to continue to grow. And continue to work on his ball handling and try to improve his stock that way. And I think he'll be fine. I just think that that's the next step for him. But every kid's got something that they need to work on, and having that opportunity and that blessed to be that athletic when a person says you just need to work on your ball handling, because obviously he already has shooting down too, but that's the next step for him.
You would know this. Is the challenge for him different? Once everybody knows who you are and every opponent is coming after you.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know how it is in Kentucky, man. Like if you're number one in anything, people got a bullseye on your back. You got parents who this is gonna sound crazy, but parents who used to be cordial and friends with each other. I've seen parents stop talking to other parents because their kid might get a little more love or might be a little, ranked a little bit higher. But that's Kentucky. It's the crabs in the bucket.
Yeah, man. Speaking on that, like, you know, some parents like will totally get at you about, my kid cooked him in eighth grade at some middle school camp or something. And, the thing about it is consistent body of work is what I need to see. Like one player, one camp isn't going to separate you from other players in the state, right?
Right. And I was actually talking to one of the top 2029 players in the state, one of the top two 2029 players in the state. I was talking to one of his, their parents about this. And I said, it's kind of crazy, man, that parents will complain in middle school and high school, and their kids have no ambition on playing in college. But they'll go complain to the principal or to the coach about playing time. And I'm like, this is the furthest it's going to go. So what are you upset about?
I think it's just the right then and now, the publicity. Everybody wants to get their shine at the end of the day, and it is sad that some parents want to shine through their children. And it is Kentucky. A lot of people, want to go against each other. I think we should be building with each other instead of going at one another. Correct?
I agree. I think that's kind of like one of the things that have kind of divided the state a little bit. And Cody, to be truthful with you, like there's some people that are not really going to like this when I say it, but I could care less. There's only
Exactly.
about two to three people in Kentucky that can actually get on the phone when it comes to AAU. I'm not talking about high school. It's only two or three people in the state of Kentucky for AAU that can get on the phone and actually make something happen for a child. And a lot of people, some parents struggle with that, but it's reality. And we're in the business now. It's not about what you think you may know. It's about who you know. So
Exactly.
sometimes who you know can get your child over the hump. And me and my college teammate, we kind of laugh about this all the time. Ellis Miles, we laugh about it because we know the answers because we talk to these coaches every day. So it's funny that you have parents who want to challenge that and go against the grain, and they rather see their kid lose out on an opportunity instead of just saying, "Hey, man, let me put my pride to the side. I need to make this call, or I need to have my son playing for this AU, particular situation, and playing for this coach." Take your personal feelings out of it. It ain't personal. It's just business.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing for some parents to grasp is losing the ego and pride. My kid's the best. My kid's the best. These people don't know what they're doing. But at the end of the day, those guys. This is what they do for a living, man. Like, they're building that network for a reason. Like, they're not just telling you something because they read it on social media. Like,
Right,
if they're picking up the phone and living that life.
right. And it's only, unfortunately, we do have some coaches like in Louisville, Kentucky. We do have some coaches that they try. You know, uh, I got to give some credit to a guy that really never really gets no publicity, and Patrick McGee at Louisville Moore. He does a really good job of getting on the phone and making it happen. And another guy that's really doesn't get that much publicity is Otis Edwards. Otis gets on the phone and he had like 11 kids go to school this year. They went somewhere. It don't matter what division. The fact is they got in school. And those kind of guys, like I said, it's only about two to four high school coaches in Louisville that, truthfully, they can make something happen for their kids. And this is in no order, okay? So I'm just giving you the real deal truth. The only high school coaches in the city of Louisville, Kentucky, that can get on the phone, and this is in no order, It is Jeff Morrow. It is Tim Hayworth. It is Coach Riley at
Him for
Christian.
sure.
It's Coach Riley at Christian Academy. And to be quite honest, those particular three, because they've been doing this a long time and they kind of know the ins and outs and the ropes, those particular three can get on the phone and hey, I'm gonna get my kid in school. And this is no knock to any other coach. It's just that a lot of these coaches that they have families. So instead of picking up the phone for a kid, I may want to take my kids trick or treating or let's go see Spider Man. And you really can't do that as a high school coach. If you're in it, you got to be 2 feet in it, and you got to grind for these kids.
Back to this 2028 class, we talked a little bit about Josh, over at St. X. He's an instant highlight reel. You see him on Instagram everywhere. He's been invited. He's played he went over the Nike Top 100 camp. He played well there. I spoke to Jordan Mitchell's dad. He was there. He said Josh played very well. He's in the rankings. His recruitment. I can't really remember all his offers. I'm pretty sure, I know he has some, I know he has Virginia Tech for sure. He has some high majors. He's working with Easy Sports Group with Ethan Corey and them. But the next guy I want to talk about is Austin Sears. He just picked up a Washington State offer. He's also established himself nationally, recognized as one of the top guards in the class. I think he's like the number 10 or 11 point guard in the class by ESPN. What stands out about Austin Sears to you?
I just see efficiency. That kid is very efficient. He plays the right way. Um, he can score, and he's a winner. Most importantly, like college coaches, like I tell this to parents all the time, and some parents are ignorant to the advice. College coaches don't care about scoring. They have a 24, 25-year-old dude already on the team that can score. And I've seen situations where there's been kids in other states or Kentucky, they're known as scorers going into college, but the head coach dummies them down. That's not what they want from you. And if you can't buy into what they want, they're going to ask you to go transfer and go somewhere else. And that's just where we're at with it, man. You see two or three high school kids on college rosters now, so the opportunity is thin. So, people just think I got to score. No, that's not the way. And I hate to say this. I had a former teammate who he was a killer. He had killer instinct, right? And him and I go back and forth about it all the time, and I'm laughing. It was Carlos Hurt. Carlos Hurt was number one point guard in the country, elite scorer, can do it all. But I go back and forth with him daily because I'm like, Carlos, the days of that's gone, man. That's not what they want to see from a point guard. Because if you look in college basketball, the point guard normally is the second or third leading scorer on the team.
And they
Those
should
days,
be, though.
yeah, those days when you hooped and played, that's done. That's done so. So if you can't adapt and adjust to what's going on now, you're gonna have to move along.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing now is if you're a high school recruit, the number one thing you should be able to do is go into college and accept a role.
That's it.
You're not going to be the guy. You
Not
have to learn how to accept the role.
yes, and you're just not gonna be the guy, man. And unless you just one of the guys that's gonna play for John Calipari, there's no other coach in the country that's gonna let you just come in there. But well, you scored 30 at any school. You know what I mean? Just any school, high school. They don't care about that. They want to see how efficient is he, how many deflection steals, how many assists he got.
Yeah, and to cap that off, Austin was down at the Peach Jam, right? He plays along Brady Pettigrew, one of the top 20 28s in the nation. Yeah, Austin had a game with 26 points and like 7 assists. And then in the next game, he had like 4 points, 6 assists, some steals. He got more phone calls from that 4 point game than he did the 26 point game.
Yeah, I understand why. Because coaches want to see if a kid can play the right way. But I got some friends now that when I tell them that that's a foreign language, they're like, well, what are you talking about? What is playing the right way? I'm like, man, look, you're going to have to play both ends. You can't just say, well, I'm going to score 20 or 25. And they don't care. I talk to these dudes from sun up to sundown. They could care less about that. What can this dude do if I put him in a game for 5 to 10 minutes as a freshman? What can he give me? Because it's not
Exactly.
they're not looking for scoring. I'm sorry, they're not.
And you have some parents like I'll have some parents call me, it's D1. I've got this school picked out, and I'm like, okay, well, I've got a Christmas list here too, but like it's so hard to get a Division 1 level as a high school recruit these days. Like it's not like it was in the '90s and 2000s. I
That's
mean, in the
over with.
and the fifth year guys just got to come back, so they're going to take those roster spots. So you're going to have more kids that are out of opportunities now that already were offered. So, I think it's very tough. If you get a Division 1 offer these days, if it's the right fit, I think you should probably take it. Unless you're going to collect a few more. You have a school that's in the background going to offer you later.
I totally agree with that. I just think that it's about fit too. Like I actually visited Belmont last week and I was kind of blown away with their campus and I've known their coaches for years, but I visited Vanderbilt the week before that, and I've been to a lot of campuses. So establishing a relationship with these coaches, um, you know, the one thing about parents in Kentucky, they think that well, my kid's the best. That's your opinion. The opinions that matters is the college coaches who's making the decisions to offer your son. So I tell people this all the time. Your opinion doesn't matter. Who's working for your son? Somebody better be working for your child to make sure that they get an opportunity, and those relationships better be there. And it ain't always the agent either. Trust me on
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, that's another topic that maybe we can
It's
get
an
into. But
entire another topic.
let's talk about our top point guards in Kentucky. We just talked about it, the balance between scoring the basketball and actually running the team. Like if you're a point guard, you're going to have to be an extension of the coach at the next level on the floor. He's got to be able to fully trust you and be able to accept the role of, listen, you're going to feed the dude that's going to score 20. Like that should be your role. Pick your guys up and play defense and be able to stretch the floor and knock that three down when you're open,
When you're open.
right?
Yep. And I agree with that. I mean, but a lot of people teach these kids bad habits. Most kids don't even know what a good shot is, and then when they get a coach that actually coaches them, you get pushback. And the coach is really just trying to help you, man. And you know, once again, let me revert back to Ellis. So he coaches AAU, and he's a hard coach, right? Real hard. But his way works because he's hiding your deficiencies and the things that you can't do great to make you dress up and look good. Because he knows what these coaches are looking for because they've already been on the phone with him all week before the tournament even started. We're looking for this. Can your guard do this? And a coach is not going to put themselves on the line unless a kid is going to sacrifice doing it on both ends.
Exactly. Next 2028 kid I want to talk about. He's very intriguing. He made a big move this spring, summer. Andrew Terry, man. He's got the size, he's got the skill, versatility. He's also got that. I think he's a 4 star. He is a 4 star. He moved from Montgomery County to GRC.
Yep.
And, with the way basketball is being played now, how valuable is he? He can play, anywhere the three, maybe up to defend the five at 6'8".
Andrew Terry's a special player. He can do it all, man. He's kind of, this is going to be a funny thing to say, but it's kind of some truth to it. He kind of reminds me of a poor man, Scott Padgett. They played at St. X back in the day. He kind of is in that mode. Not really the shooter that Scott was yet, but he still got time to, work on that. But he's got a chance to be a special player.
We got some other 2028 names. We have Jordan Jackson out of St. X. Really like that kid. What's your thoughts on Jordan?
A tremendous athlete. Um, Once again, sort of like in the mode of Josh, got to take that next step, work on his shot, which he has. It's gotten better. Work on his handle because, in Kentucky, when you're 6'5", really 6'2", some of these schools got you playing the five. And he's never going to be
Exactly.
a post player in college. He could be like a stretch four guy, but he's never going to be a five. And Jordan's got to continue to improve with his ball handling and shooting too, which his shooting has gotten better. So he's one of those kids. He's got pretty much good upside. Um, the thing with Jordan Jackson is he's one of those kids that it can go either or for him. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. Sometimes you got too many local advisors around you, and local advisors can't help you get over the hump. They can't because they've never been on that other side of the fence. And Jordan Jackson is a super kid, but I think it's time for him to explore both sides of the fence to take that next step.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. You were talking about if you have size, you might not be able to develop at the position you're going to play at college. And I've seen that firsthand. I moved out to Eastern Kentucky in 2024, and those 6'3" kids, 6'4" kids out there, most of them are playing at the five, and
It's crazy.
that's not the position that they can play, and it's not
Right,
the position they're going to play at the next level. So they're
right.
not getting the opportunity to develop. What is the fix for that?
I just think like sometimes one thing about Kentucky, we got a couple really good trainers. The best trainers that I know personally are Aaron Taylor. It was a kid I had when I was an athletic director at Evangel. He played, went there. He's an assistant coach at Mel now. He's pretty elite at what he does. Josiah Bunton's pretty good. And I can't leave out Jamal Chambers. He does a really good job too. And obviously Deion Lee is like the, upper echelon. And,
What
as
about
far
Matt
as he's trying
Jones?
to, no, he's elite too. I'm talking
Yeah.
about at Louisville. I didn't get out
Oh.
to the state yet. Matt Jones is official. So I already know about him. Him and TC Commodore, Terrence Commodore, them dudes are official. You know what I mean? So yeah, they're pretty good at what they do too. I was just strictly talking about the city. Yeah.
So with those trainers, so those kids need to go to them and just play high school ball the way coach wants them to play.
Well, I don't think so much of playing high school ball the way the coach wants them to play. I think a lot of these kids need to go to the right schools. But the parents are not educated in the department to say, hey, when I pick a high school, which coach can help my son get to the next level? I think a lot of people lack that kind of basketball intelligence. Yeah.
All right, so Ryder Akins, he's a GRC kid as well. Got the opportunity to see him play down at Rock Hill. It was last summer. He's a southpaw, 6'3". I really love how he can get to the basket on the baseline. He's got a great floater when he beats his primary defender. He can shoot the ball. You've seen him play over at GRC. Have you
I
seen that
sure have.
kid?
He reminds me of what's the kid that went to Pikeville University from Pike? Keon Works a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that kind of crap, like he's kind of in the same mode, but
He's
he's
really
good too.
crafty.
Yeah,
Yes.
Keon was just like that too. Works. He was really good like that too, man. So he kind of reminds me of that kid a little bit. He does some things that that they do. Both of them compared to each other.
And the biggest story probably of the summer was Jordan Mitchell leaving Mail to go to Link Academy. I had him as the number one guy in 2028. Opinions are opinions. What's your thought on his move from leaving Mail to go to Link Academy?
That's a tough one, okay? Because I understand where his father's coming from as far as wanting him to play the competition, but at Mail it was one of those situations like Coach Hayworth is really good, so it's like darn if you do, darn if you don't. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those type of situations. But I understand the move, but he could have it could have went either way. He could have stayed and been like a legend at that school. But I get it. Like his father's got a national mentality too, which some parents should when you got a son that's that good. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean either or for him is fine.
And another kid in the 2028 class. I hope I pronounce his name correctly. It's Jaquin Siakim.
Yeah,
Is that how?
Siakam. Siakam.
Siakam. What do
Yeah.
you know about that kid? I haven't seen. I've seen a little bit about him. Some of him. He looks very athletic. He looks like he's lengthy. He's a long player. Looks like he needs to develop a little bit more, like physically, strength wise.
It's another situation like him. 6'5", 6'6", post player. Welcome to Kentucky High School Athletic Association basketball. You're gonna be an undersized post player 9 out of the 10 times. So um, he's still got some skills. I mean, he's got good genes, obviously. But he's got some growing to do himself too because he's not getting the opportunity to play his natural position at his high school, which most kids don't. Not in Kentucky.
Yeah, you do see that a lot. Connor Morganson is another kid. Like he's kind of electrifying guard. He's down at Powell County now. He was formerly at GRC. Man, he can light it up on the AAU circuit. I know he's got an offer. I think it's Fairmont State. I
Mhm.
don't know if you've had a chance to see that kid play.
I have not. I haven't heard of him, but I know Powell County's out there in Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, he's an Eastern Kentucky
Yeah.
kid. It's very hard for those kids to get
Any,
shine at
yeah,
any
yeah,
kind
for
of
sure.
level.
Any love,
Have,
yeah.
And there's a couple 2028 kids that I've been working with. I really like. You probably haven't seen him, but he's a 5'8" guard out of Clinton County. His name is Chase Harmon.
Okay.
Like he's very solid. I don't think he's going to get to the D1 level, but he's very heady, physical. He knows how to. He makes great reads. And another kid, man, that I don't think he's going to play D1, but River Woodruff, like he's a 2028 kid, and he's not getting really any contact or anything by coaches. But can you kind of explain to like what I'm trying to tell his family? Like a 2028 kid, man. Like it's so hard to get a roster spot right now in college basketball.
Let me
Just be
explain this.
patient.
Let me explain this. A lot of coaches are not going to really offer 28s and 29s unless they feel like a kid is a potential elite level player. Um, but if you're a parent and you're looking for an offer in 2028, sometimes Cody, you got to wait till 11th or 12th hour because
Hmm.
if you're 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", you're nobody's first priority. Okay, it's got to fall in line unless you are an elite level talent. You're nobody's first priority yet. And a lot of those parents like that, those parents, the kind of kids you're talking about that really don't get the love, they're on the back end, they just got to be patient, man. Rome wasn't built in a day. So if you're complaining and not about not getting offers, do something about it with your school team. Make some noise.
Yeah,
Stop
I think
pointing the
he's going to have a
fingers.
really big year.
Yeah, don't point the fingers. Just go get it done.
Well, I mean, I don't think they're angry. They're just, I don't think
Impatient.
they just don't understand the landscape of how hard it really is to get a high
It's real.
school. I
It's
mean,
real hard.
his
It's really
dad is a great guy. It's very hard right now, and you know, they're soft. They're 28s. They're going in their junior years. How much do you think that the landscape will change for them from now until the end of their senior year in the recruiting landscape?
once again for a lot of kids, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Division One. It could be D2, NAI. Those are still good schools. Junior colleges are still good schools. I've got a personal friend of mine in Brandon Britt. He coaches at Fort Valley State in Georgia. That's a really good level, a really good school. You know what I mean? So um, I just think a lot of kids need to focus on that because getting a D1 roster spot, I'm going to say it again, Cody, it ain't about what you think you know. It's about who you know.
And another thing, like, let's be real. Look at the numbers. What a percentage of Kentucky high school basketball players are at Division 1 level? I want to get your answer first.
Like, how many do I see right now
I
total?
don't. Yeah, percentage. I'll give 85 to 90% of a number. I'd say 1 out of 10 maybe played Division 1 ball, and that's probably a high number.
Total from the class of 2030 up, I'd say the average maybe 2.5 out of 10,
So you're looking at 25%.
possibly. And that's only because, like, these kids, a lot of these parents think they're gonna get it on their own. You're not. To be honest, it's only a couple kids in Kentucky that can go get it on their own like that. It's not many.
And there's a question I want to ask you. Can a player who isn't considered a top 10 guy, today become one of the best players in the classes in the next 2 years?
Of course. I mean, it happens all the time. Like, Cody, let me give you a situation. When I was in high school, I finished in the ESPN rankings probably top 35. Emeka Okafor, who played at Connecticut, was 181.
Huh?
He was the first pick. I was no pick. So kids still got time to get better. You see what I'm saying? You still got time to improve and time to get better. That's the thing.
And with everyone that's watching right now, I want you guys to get involved. Drop some 2028 names in the comments. Who are we missing? Who's underrated? Who do you believe is going to have a breakout high school year? We're not afraid to find those players. That's a part of the reason. I do these watch lists. A
Let's
watch
not,
list
let's
isn't
not
a
for, let's
ranking.
let's not forget about Boogie Cook either. Okay, let's not leave
Oh
him.
yeah, we haven't spoke about Boogie.
Yeah, see, Jordan Cook he's got some special talents, right? And I'm one to be honest and keep it real. If Jordan Cook learns how to be aggressive, not 10% of the game, not 20% of the game, if he learns how to be aggressive and be the aggressor from tip off, to finish, he got a chance to go big places. Big
Well,
places.
how do you get a kid to do that?
Sometimes it's just got to be within. You know, a person can't motivate you to play hard 24/7 because you can see he's oozing with potential. You know, he's always been oozing with potential, but at some point, potential, the word potential is going to run out. So, you know, now it's 2028. You're a junior now. Now it's time to get busy for real. So when he
How big?
learns
How big is Boogie? 6'6", 6'7"?
6'7", 6'7",
Is he at the 3 or 4? I've been told he's more of a 4 than a 3.
which is fine.
You think that's not undersized at collegiate level?
No, because Mo Diabate, who played at Kentucky last year, was 6'7", and he was a four-man. He was pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty good player.
that's reality.
That's the reality. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, a lot of guys, they might use you as a small ball four, but that's not the worst thing in the world. Draymond Green, 6'6". He played a 3, 4, and 5. 5, 4, and 3.
Yeah, that is true. But he's a unicorn, man. You know
Yeah, he
that.
is. He is. But if Boogie can get that motor turned on the whole game, got a shot.
So, I want to give us your perspective. Whether you watched a kid, heard about a kid, or what do you want to see in a kid before you make an evaluation?
I want to see that they come from a solid foundation. You know, I can have a 2-minute conversation and be able to tell, oh, this parent thinks they know it all. Okay. Yeah, well, go figure it out then. You know what I mean? Just, that's, you have to start from there. And because it starts from home. If they got a good foundation and a good base and the parents kind of understand and were willing to listen on what it takes, cool. But if you get a parent that, oh, well, I used to play basketball. Yeah, that's 100 years ago. How far did you go? You know what I'm saying? Like, really? But you got all the answers all of a sudden. Oh, okay. You know how
So
this
let's
works
move.
in 2026? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's just a huge difference.
It's a
And
huge difference.
another thing is, we're talking about these young kids. We're going to move on to the class of 2029. Like I said, these are watch lists, man. The state's big. I'm one person. I can't get to the whole state. So, if we miss some people, hey, let us know who
Let
we're
us know.
missing so we can
Yeah,
see
yeah.
them.
Yeah, you got that's it.
So let's move on to 2029, man. This, like I said, when things get really difficult, you're talking about extremely young guys here. But there's two guys in Kentucky at the top and really getting some serious heat, serious attention from power four, power five schools. First one's Mason Grivna, man. You got to start with this kid, 7 foot tall. He's accumulated so many high major offers. He went to the Adidas Euro camp. He went to the ABCD camp. Got the defensive player out there, star player. You know, for a kid that young at 7 foot, what's the biggest key to his development? Like his strength, footwork, his mobility, or more skill development for him? Because man, he could stretch the floor really well at 7 foot right now.
Mason, the scary thing about Mason Gribner is this is not even his best basketball. His best basketball is ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
That's the scary part. Mason Gribner has a chance, and this is a big thing I'm going to say. When it's all said and done, Mason Gribner has a chance to be the best player to ever come out of Ballard High School.
Absolutely.
He has a shot. Mason Grivner and his parents, Mark, his father, Mark, they figured it out. And when I say meaning they figured it out, they absolutely went to go play for the right AAU coach with the right program, and everything that coach promised, he delivered on. So that's why it's working out in Mason Grivner's favor. Now, he still got to put the work in, which he will do. Got to get those legs stronger, got to get a little bit more mobile. But guess what? He's 15. He's a rising sophomore.
Yeah,
So
but
he's got time.
I had I got to interview him here on Pure Prospects. He seems like a very solid kid. Seems very focused in what he's wanting to do. He's very humble. I really like that about him. But when most people hear, "Hey, he's just a 7 footer," we're not just evaluating him on being 7 foot.
Now, let me explain this to you. Mason Grivner reminds me of three players that played in the NBA. One was Myers Leonard, that played at Illinois. who was a first round pick to the Portland Trailblazers. The other one was Joe Prisbilla, who played at the University of Minnesota. He was a lottery pick. And the other one was Robert Swift. Robert Swift was from the state of Washington and went pro out of high school. So Mason has the potential. And to be quite honest with you, if the college rule wasn't in by his senior year, I believe his parents could have some decisions to really make. I think the kid's ceiling is that high.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do. And
To be honest with you,
I've seen more basketball than basketball itself. I know what a talent looks like. I know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, if the college rule by his senior year, as long as he keeps progressing, was not in effect, I believe his parents would have some hard decisions to make.
exactly, man. This might be going on a limb, and I don't really think so. I think that kid definitely has green room written all over him.
For sure. He just got to keep on progressing, keep on progressing. Because it takes bigs longer to develop. But he. I was talking to his AAU coach last night, Ellis Miles. I said, this kid is, he's ahead of himself already. He's kind of leap years ahead of himself. Because bigs, it takes him a long time to get there. I said, so whatever he's doing, he he's ahead of himself.
And for young players like him receiving all, that level of attention, how does he stay focused on development instead of getting caught up in all those offers, the rankings, all this noise from social media, all the hate? Like, how does he stay focused on that?
If I had one advice for Mason Grivner, stay away from the girls while you're on your mission because more publicity comes more girls. I've seen this movie before, and I've actually starred in this movie before. So when the girls come, that could be a big distraction at a young age, and you can lose focus. And if he could stay away from the girls because they might not be coming yet, but they're coming. When Kentucky and Duke and North Carolina and St. John's and UCLA walk in that gym, these little girls talk in school. Hey, did you see such and such Duke was there for Mason last night? They take that home to their
Hmm.
parents now. They take that home to their parents. And some the parent, man, yeah, that's what happens. If Mason can stay focused and realize that, yeah, we understand that you want to be a kid right now, but you can't be a normal kid right now. You can't just go hang out right now. You can't because everybody's not on the same mission that you're on.
Absolutely, I agree. Then I want to get into Trey Mack. Yeah, I know he's your guy. He's another prospect. His recruitment has really reached. He's on fire. Like he just picked up. I think his last offer was what, UAB.
Yeah.
So what do you see when you look at his game?
Trey Mack is different. He's very unique because he really takes pride in his defense on the defensive end. I mean, he starts there. And when you say, "Hey, you can coach him. I want you to run this team," he's gonna run the show, and he's gonna be very, very. He's a coach on the floor. He's a coach's dream. I mean, he can literally run an offense. He can literally run a defense. He can press you 94 feet. So he's a prime time kid that's a coach's dream. Like he doesn't. You can coach him. I mean, think about this. Trey Mack plays high school ball for one of the greatest coaches in Kentucky high school history. And Coach Maul's a hard coach, but he can coach him. And the kid doesn't give any kind of resistance. It's yes sir, no sir, and he's doing it. He don't complain. He just goes out there and gets it done.
For a guy like him at that young age, he's able to do that. What do you see to him need to develop over these next few years before he gets to collegiate level?
I just think that Trey just gotta mature. He continue to mature. Um, and just continue to work on this craft like he's been doing. Obviously he's played high level AAU. He finished with Indy Heat playing up 6 teams, and if he can continue to work on his craft, I think he'll be just fine.
I forgot to mention that Mason's playing up two age groups. He's
That's
playing in
nice.
17U, and this kid's playing up an age group. For people that don't understand that, what's it take for a high school kid to be able to play up an age group or two age groups up in the shoe circuit? I'm not talking about circuit over here. I'm talking about Adidas, Nike, even Puma. Like, what does that take for high level?
I think in order to be able to play up, you got to show that you can. You're a coach has to believe in you, right? So when a coach has to believe in you, they got to say, okay, if I move this kid up a grade or two, obviously Mason's a unicorn for a 2029 kid. He's a unicorn. So you can do that with him because he can go 17U and take his lumps if there are even any lumps. So you can do that with a Mason Grivner. Trey Mack, you can do it with him because one thing you know you're gonna get out of him, he's gonna play hard on both ends for you. And when you got a kid that's gonna play hard on both ends for you, I mean, if he wants, how can you say no? You really can't say no to that.
Do you think that helps his development playing up that age group or being
I,
able to
I
do
do.
more at his age group?
I do for Trey Mack because when you look at that kid, there's guards that come a dime a dozen. You actually want to see him get his butt kicked a little bit because that kind of teaches you, hey, this is what I need to work on next.
So
And
it's
I'm
a
not
measuring
saying,
stick.
yeah, I'm not saying he's gotten his butt kicked yet, but I'm saying that's the goal as a parent. You will want to see your child. Okay, I want to see him get their butt kicked a little bit so they understand what we got to do to get to the next level. Because none of these kids are finished products, but they're young, talented kids, and they got so much room for growth.
Absolutely. And then you've got another group that's kind of, pushing their way in the conversation. There's a kid that transferred, I think, to Scott named Benji Brown. Do you know much about him?
I haven't heard about him yet.
Now, he's a pretty nice player, but then there's
Oh yes, the
Elijah.
one from Vegas.
Yes, sir,
Yeah,
him.
yeah, he's a scorer. I actually saw some videos on that kid. He looks pretty good. He looks like he's gonna be a Division One prospect.
Yeah, he's a really good shooter. And then there's a kid named Elijah Owens that plays for Midwest Basketball Club over in
Yeah,
Ashland.
very
He's already
good
got
player.
his Division 1 offer from Youngstown State.
Very good player.
Yeah, he's 6'1", but he's very athletic, man. He
Yeah,
can jump out of the gym. Like I said, he has that D1 offer from Youngstown State.
yeah,
And then there's a Griffin Makes kid out from Western Kentucky. You probably haven't heard much about him because he's out in Western Kentucky, right?
right. I haven't heard about him yet.
See, that's so hard for kids like him. I mean, he's a really solid kid, like a 6'2" guard. He's doing a lot of things out there in Western Kentucky. It's St. Mary's High School.
Yeah, that's probably a private school. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but it's so hard for these kids out in Eastern Western Kentucky to get that recognition because, like you said, most of the guys that can make those phone calls, where are they
yeah,
located? Where are they
yeah.
located at?
In the city, in the
Exactly.
city. Yeah, that's the truth though.
It is the
You know,
truth. And,
and
what care?
they don't take away nothing from Eastern Kentucky because Eastern Kentucky they got some really good people out there. Really good
Oh,
coaches, really good,
absolutely.
great people. I spent a lot of time in Eastern Kentucky, so they got some great people, phenomenal people out that way. Yeah.
So, at this age group, like what translates the best, when projecting a kid or a player 3 or 4 years down the road? We're looking at 3 years, maybe 4 years here. What characteristics at this age group are going to translate to the next level?
Playing hard, having a motor, playing hard on both ends, and the most important thing is, are you coachable? Because I can tell you this: some of the top AU programs here, if a kid gets out of line, the coach is not going to make a call for you. He don't care what your parents say, who they are. It's just not worth it. Like if a parent gets out of line with me, I'm just going to let you use a payphone because I'm not picking up. You know what I mean? You can go call somebody else. You can't tell me how to do my job. You know what I mean? I really feel that way.
Yeah, sometimes you like have to have that backbone, right?
Oh yeah, all the time. Not sometimes, all the time. Because
And
like I said,
then
you got a couple people out here who really think they know and they really have no clue. And they get upset because they're like, well, what do I turn to? Well, don't burn that bridge. That's your fault. If you burn the bridge and your son don't get an opportunity, who's that on? How did we get here?
at the end of the day, the kids the ones getting hurt the
They,
worst,
they get
right?
hurt the worst. Yeah, it's nobody's fault but the parents because they seem to think they know it all.
I've seen it so many times in
Oh
the
yeah,
decade that I've been, around this. And then there's some 2029 kids that, I've been tracking that I like. And two of them are from Eastern Kentucky. That's Graham Schutz. He's a 6 foot guard out there. I really likes the way he plays. But there's also this 6'3" guard from Betsy Lane. Man, his percentages, he's so efficient. Like somewhere in the 50s field goal, but over like 44% from three, 94% from the line. Like I said, he's 6'3". He's still developing. I really like that kid. There's another guard out in Mayfield named Mason Hopkins that I'm really watching. He's out in Western Kentucky. Like those kids don't get the view that the city kids do. That's why I'm kind of working with them, kind of help them out. But when you there's a lot more names out there emerging. Like, what 2029 game names are you hearing in the city that I'm not hearing where I'm at?
Obviously, the first two that you named, those two are really, really high level dudes.
Oh, for sure.
Um, Mason Grivner and Trey Mack are high level dudes. Not saying that other kids, but there's some other kids in the city in 2029. But I'll be honest with you, those kids are talented. They're not the problem. The parents are the problem because the parents, once again, seem to think they know it all and they don't know anything. They don't know how this process goes. They don't know anything about it. And you got coaches literally in your city who actually know and know what they're doing, and you're kikiing and ha with your friends, and they can't help you. So, but
So, you,
there are
is it
some
a
good
trust issue or ego pride issue?
pride, pride. Parents just can't say accept that they're wrong. You know what I mean? But it don't hurt nobody but your kid. Like I know at least two 2029 kids in Louisville, Kentucky that are about to go on a visit to Cincinnati and Kentucky and Ohio State. One of them already went to Ohio State, but it's another one. So it's getting ready to be. But the rest of these kids are going to get left out because the parents seem to think they know it all.
At the end of the day, like, who's going to be hurt the worst?
Yeah, and you listening. You know a lot of these parents listen to this street ball stuff and these street ball opinions, and I'm like, that's not what a cop. They don't care. Like if a person says your son needs to play this way, it's for their own benefit. And if they don't do it, that's all that you're hurting them.
And
But there's
what
go ahead.
about the parents that are looking for this rogue NIL agency to show up and think they're going to lead them in this direction? And to be honest with you, I've never heard of some of them before, and I'm not naming names that I don't really know, but I just hate seeing like some 20, 28, 29 kid picking up an NIL offer. Man, you need to earn that roster spot before you even think about earning NIL money, right?
Yes, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that, and that's what parents should be doing. That's what they should be. You know, you should earn it. You know what I mean? And a lot of these people are living in another world because a lot of parents sign with these agents hoping that they can get me a big deal. I just sit back and laugh because if you're not one of those kids, you shouldn't even look
There's,
for them.
there's only two kids in Kentucky in that class who probably get that big deal, and they just named both of them.
Yeah, Mason Grivner and Trey Mack, and there's a couple more with some potential, but their parents have to get out of the way completely.
So
And
what about
there's
their
a,
parents that burned those bridges? Like, how do they repair those bridges?
I don't know. You know, like I said, it's all pride. I don't know. But we do have more. There Mason Grivner and Trey Mack are the cream, but we do have some crop too. We do have some crop in there. There's other 2029 kids. There's a. Do you have any more names in Louisville that you got on your list?
I want to give them from you.
What's on your list? Like, because I know you posted a list the other day that. Uh,
I don't have that list in front of me, but it's on my phone. Give me some Louisville guys.
okay, the 2029s that I've seen. Um, let's start with because I know his father. Let's start with Jeremiah Queen, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah. He wasn't on my list because I couldn't find an image of him.
Jeremiah Queen has a chance to be a very good basketball player, right? And his dad was a really good player. Like his dad probably still playing somewhere. His dad, he was his father was one guy who, when he played basketball, he played like he was literally gonna die tomorrow. Like he played that hard. So he's got a lot of
I'm pulling that
potential.
list up.
Yeah, he's got a lot of potential. Um, got a lot of potential. I know he just transferred to Trinity, so he's got a lot of potential. He can actually do some things, but at the same time, sometimes it's about not what you know again. It's about who you know. And he does play for the right AAU coach, and he does have some big time potential if he can continue to put it all together too. Then there's another guard, and CJ Sweeney.
I'm getting ready. Yeah, I'm getting ready to pull them up.
Yeah, CJ Sweeney. CJ Sweeney is a tremendous offensive player. He can score. He can run. He can pass. He can run an offense. C.J. Sweeney's uncle is Ellis Miles,
Oh,
so that's also his AAU. That's been his coach the past couple years. C.J. Sweeney is another player that he's got some real potential. There's a couple things he's got to work on. Okay, but I don't. I call a spade a spade. The kid does have some serious potential, but once again, it's another situation where it's not about what you think you know. It's about who you know. And if I'm CJ Sweeney in his camp, I'm using my uncle's resources to the T because he talks to these college coaches every day. They're telling him this is what we're looking for. And when a coach tells a kid to play a certain way, you're giving him something to sell. You see what I'm saying? Not taking anything that the kid does away from him because he's a talent. But I'm just telling you, this is what these kids got to do if they're trying to get to the next level. I don't care if
man,
the parents. I don't care if the parents get mad at me. I'm honest, and if you can't take honesty, just move along.
I think that's the biggest thing that I try to get through with some parents are these kids are their own business and they have to sell themselves and brand themselves to a college coach who's willing to invest in them and invest in that product to get it a return back.
Yeah, I'm
Like
gonna
you
name
have to
another
be able to
kid.
sell them something that they want. You can't just sell somebody something they don't want.
No, I'm gonna name another kid too.
Ty Bryant, I got the whole list here.
Ty Bryant is a player at Oldham County. He actually plays for my high school coach and Chris Renner. Ty Bryant is another. Ty Bryant's problem is one thing. Ty Bryant's father didn't go see Ellis Miles. And that's the problem with Ty Bryant. That's why his phone is not ringing the way it should. Because if he went to go see Ellis Miles and play for him and play next to Big Mason and the CJs and the Butters and the rest of the crew, Ty Bryant's phone will be ringing. But if Ty Bryant's father doesn't get in line quickly, it can go from Division One kid, and this is no knock on when I say name these schools, okay? Cumberland's, Center College, if his father doesn't get in line quickly to help that kid. Because this basketball thing is pure politics now.
Oh, for sure.
That's all it is. So if you don't get in line, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, and that full list is over on my Substack.
Yeah,
What about Anthony Davis out of Bowling Green?
love him. Think his potential is fantastic. I think he's got a chance to be a great player. I know DJ Sherrill very well. Bowling Green's had a lot of dudes came out of there in the past few years, and they always keep talent in 270. Those dudes are serious down there. So they always in Western Kentucky, they always gonna have a player too. Every couple years they're gonna have a player too for sure.
Well, another kid out from that area at Davis County, where Jonathan Moss just come
Very,
out of, is Aiden
very,
West.
very good player. Big time
Aiden West.
potential. Big time potential. Big time potential. And he's one of those kids too. He's got to continue to keep prospering, continue to keep growing, and so forth. I'm also going to name another kid in 29, and he doesn't really get a lot of love, but the kid plays really hard, and that's Camden Thompson. And he
Oh
was
yeah,
on
Brent's boy.
yeah, Brent's boy. Brent's boy. He that's one kid I really like because he don't get the love, but he plays hard. He's a good kid. You can coach him, and he's got some serious potential there.
And
You
he
know what
works
I mean?
hard.
And he works really hard. So, he was at a log jam last year at Ballard because, Ballard's always got a lot of players. You know what I mean? A lot of good players, too. But now he's transferred to Eastern where he could get more of an opportunity possibly. But, like I said, Coach Miles is one of those coaches where he's going to hold you accountable. You're going to have to really, really work to go get it. And I do believe the kid will get it. He'll figure it out. Um, he's a really good talent, too. Mel High's got a kid named
Jaden Johnson,
Jaden
right here on my
Johnson.
list. Yes,
Jaden
sir.
Johnson. Very good player. I think he should be a two-sport athlete. because big strong kid, definitely playing for elite high school coach in Hayworth. Hayworth is
Oh,
he's fantastic.
he's top notch for sure.
One of the best I've ever known. One of the top coaches in Kentucky history as well. And I
Totally
think
agree.
he's got a lot of potential. And see, like Jaden Johnson got a great setup because Aaron Taylor's an assistant coach, and now that's his trainer. So you win in both ways. You know what I mean? You play for a great school, you got a great coach, and you got a great trainer, and you got a great assistant coach. So you win in all three ways. And
You think he's going to be like thrown into the fire now since Jordan Mitchell's
oh,
out?
he'll definitely yeah he'll be thrown into
Because Jordan Mitchell
the fire.
got tested at that. I think it was.
He did. And let's piggyback a little bit. Let's back up. Let's back up just a little bit. We cannot forget about just because he was hurt last year. We cannot forget about Trey Hilrich
Oh yes.
in 28.
Well, he
Okay,
was 2028. Yes.
we cannot forget about Trey Hilrich. He comes from really good stock. His parents are great. I'm saying this not to really be funny, but I mean what I say, right? His mom's a pretty smart lady, and if ESPN was smart enough, they would actually hire the lady. Because she actually, some of the stuff she said, she really, she's one of the moms that kind of really gets it, but she really loves her kid too. And I think that kid's potential, I think he's a Division I basketball player. I've always thought that about him. I don't know which level yet, but I do think he's a Division I basketball player. I think he'll
You
get
know who's
something.
big on Trey Hilrich?
Who's that?
Dinos Trigonos, Pangos All American guy.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was on the phone with him the other night, and we were talking about Trey, and he was asking me how he was, how he was going to be this year, and actually if he was fully healthy. And honestly, I didn't know if he was or not, so I couldn't
yeah.
really give him that answer. But he really likes him, and man, Dinos has been doing this stuff for 30 years. Pangos is a world class name, so he really likes Trey. Trey's been up there, involved in his camps. I think he won a co-MVP up there last year, possibly. So yeah, Trey
He did.
Hillich is a guy that we definitely left off here. And I didn't have that full 2028 list, but our 29 list, yeah. But I do like Trey at Mayo. Like he's going, I think if he's fully healed, like he's going to be able to do some things. What do you think he needs to develop at? Like I know he still needs to get stronger, more physically developed, but he's going into his junior year.
I've been liking Trey since he was in the eighth grade. I like the way he runs and gets out on that wing and kind of gets explosive and starts dunking those balls. I'm anxious to see him healthy. I know it takes a while, even when you're coming back from a tremendous injury that he had. But I think Trey Hillerich has got a real shot to be a Division I basketball player a lot sooner than later if he comes back healthy and keeps on progressing, which I fully expect that he will.
What do you know about super sophomore in the capital city, Ray John Floyd, Frankfurt?
Ray John Floyd. Ray John Floyd. Okay, he's you ever played the game Pac-Man? Pac-Man. Like, yeah, eat you up, curve you out. He's just split, turn, spin. He's kind of like a Michael Vick in basketball. You know what I mean? Like that's how he plays. So Rajon Floyd has a chance to be a Division I basketball player, but there are certain things he has to do to get to where we all know he can go. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Rajon Floyd is he's a super stud. Like he's a really, really good ball player, but there's a couple things he's got to do to get to where he wants to go because, Frankfurt is another city. They produce some really good athletes over the years. And I just think for him, he's going to be a kid that, maybe after this year, after his junior year, he's going to have to make some decisions on what you want to do next as far as because he doesn't get that much publicity because where he is. But
Exactly.
I'm here to tell you, the kid is the real deal. He's a standout basketball player, and he can really do it. I've seen him do it on a high major AAU circuit. Um, I've also seen him do it on a regular Nintendo circuit, even though he's a way better player than that. Um, I just think with Rajon Floyd, if he continues to play at a high level, because that's what it's going to take for him. You're going to have to play at a high level in order to continue to grow. in his situation. And it's
And
not his fault.
I
It's
want
not
to
his
say
fault.
one thing.
Yeah,
I want to say one thing that maybe piggybacks off that. When you put these lists out, you have so many people out from this county and that county talking about, well, this kid's that good. But one thing you need to understand is the kiddies, this not the kiddies, but the kids that play in Louisville and Lexington in the sixth, seventh, 11th region play tough competition night in and night out. Like the talent level usually doesn't drop off, correct?
correct. It never drops off.
Like you can drop 30 or 40 out in Eastern Kentucky or Western Kentucky, but you're not doing that in Louisville and Lexington every night. You're not
No,
doing it.
no, 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 because you got really good high school coaches in Louisville, like
Exactly. And
Leroy,
athletes.
Leroy Hickerson in Seneca High School. Fantastic high school coach. Fantastic high school coach. I mean, he's one of the better coaches around. And you know what? I did leave a coach off here earlier, another coach that can make the calls too. And I really didn't mean to do this, but how could you, when you think about Kentucky basketball as a state, how in the world can you not name Mike Stennett?
Oh Lord, yeah, Fairdale.
I mean, Mike
He's
Stennett's
about
one
to
of
come on
the
the podcast. He's going to be a guest on the podcast.
Mike Stennett is one of the goats when it comes to Kentucky high school basketball or basketball in Kentucky. Period. He's been doing it a long time. So back in the day, when my father used to run a dirt bowl. Mike Stennett would always bring a team from Owensboro when I was a little boy. He used to bring a team from Owensboro, and they'd come up and do it every year. So, that's my apologies. I know better. Need to do better. But Mike Stennett's one of the guys that can get on the phone and make some calls to college coaches as well. He's really good at that too. He's really good, and Fairdale
He's
has
putting
a
guys in the pros. What are you
important guys
talking
in the post.
about?
And one thing I'll say about Fairdale is David Hicks does a tremendous job with that program at Fairdale because we got the males, the Ballards, but the Fairdales and the PRPs, and I didn't mention Larry Kinley either. Larry Kinley is the high school coach at PRP. He's another guy that can get on the phone and make something happen for these kids. Okay, Larry Kinley, PRP has been a machine for 100 years. Okay, they've had some really good players, really good guards. One of the premier, obviously, traditionally behind Ballard, when it comes to guards, they're the premier program when it comes to guard play in Kentucky because they've had a lot that went to college. They just have,
I'm
and
getting ready to drop a Ballard guy.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So they've had a lot. So Larry Kinley's another coach that I missed on because I wasn't thinking about those six region guys, but I can't leave those guys out because those six region guys do a tremendous job too.
Well, but I was getting ready to drop in on Trinity, but let's hit the Ballard since you were just talking about it.
Okay.
I've watched this guy, man, be consistent on the Adidas 3SSB circuit. Quentin Woods, man. He's gonna be playing with Grivma. I really love the way he plays. Like I said, Adidas 3SSB, dude, he's in the stat leaders. He was in the stat leaders. He's always playing exceptionally well. Plus, he's going to get to play alongside Mason Grivna. Well, what's your thoughts on Quentin Woods?
Quentin Woods is a tremendous scoring basketball player. Only thing Quentin Woods needs to work on is continue to be a good teammate and take better shot selections. Once he decides to do that, the sky's the limit for that kid too. But he's got a chance to be really good. That 2029 group in Kentucky, like I said, as a whole, is really good. 2028 is really good, and 2027 is pretty good too. But Quentin Woods does have a chance to be an elite level basketball player too. I couldn't leave him out either. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah,
What about Trinity with Cam Jackson?
Cam Jackson reminds me of a guy that used to play at Kentucky back in the day named Desmond Allison. They kind of run the same, kind of play the same. He's got a chance to. Obviously, his mom Charlotte, she was a hell of a basketball player in her time. He's got a chance to be a really, really, really great basketball player too. I do think he'll be a Division I kid as long as he continues to, come back healthy and get with the right AAU program, as a lot of these kids need to do. But I do think he'll have a chance to, doing that. He's got great size too for a young kid, from tremendous size.
I'm going to go stick in Louisville with the kid from Butler named Tristan Lowry.
Yeah, I've been watching Tristan play since he's like seventh, eighth grade. Got a great coach in Otis Edwards. Got a great coach in Butler's head coach, but Otis is kind of loved on those kids at Butler and got them to where they needed to go. So I think with Tristan, the thing is, last year was kind of like a bumpy road a little bit, and that's okay because Butler had a lot of upperclassmen that was talented. But this year he's got to take that next leap. But he's got to also listen to his coaches though. Otis is going to lead him to the promised land at Butler if he continues to grow, and Gary will, help him get better as well. So as long as he just stays on that path, I think he'll be fine too.
Next kid I want to talk about is certified from Matt Jones, Chase Bentley at Lexington Christian.
The truth, the real deal. I think Chase has got a chance to have a big time effect, and he got a chance to do some major things. I do. I believe that Chase is going to be phenomenal there.
That's a great program out of
Yeah,
Lexington as well.
Lexington's got great kids too. Like, don't sleep on Lexington. Don't sleep on Shelby County. Don't sleep on Western Kentucky. Don't sleep on Eastern Kentucky. Don't sleep on Lexington. Some of these schools have some dudes. Like, there's another kid. He is a 2029, I believe. He's a West Jessamine, 6'7", 6'8". He was
Um,
a freshman last year, I believe.
Peter Patterson is his
That's
name,
it.
right?
That's it. That's it. Really,
Yeah.
really good potential. Really good potential. That kid's got a chance to go far. So he's got to stick with it too. Like, I've seen him play a couple times, and I'm like, wow, this is impressive. But the only thing that scares me about kids, I just hope they stay with it and keep the love for the game, because I've seen some kids play AAU and there were some high level potential dudes, but they got a girlfriend and they decided not to play anymore. And I'm just like, oh man, I'm saying? Like, can we break the barrier? You know what I mean? So that's what I'm hoping to see with a lot of these young kids, that they stay on that path for the growth. You know what I mean? I'm hoping to really see that.
I probably shouldn't say this, but sometimes that game seems undefeated.
It does, but hopefully, these parents got enough sense to, hey man, like, cause even when I raised my son, he's a freshman at LSU now. Hey man, we weren't allowed to have no girlfriends in my house, man. We trying to get somewhere. We'll do all that later because we're already behind the eight ball. So now we got to play some catch up a little bit, and we got to do some things to get to where we need to go.
Eastern Kentucky kid want to name out Braxton Ferguson out of Bell County.
Pretty good,
You know
pretty good
anything
player.
about that
I
shot,
sure
kid?
do. Yeah, I sure do. Pretty good player, real heady, real smart. I got a chance to watch a lot of these 29s last year. And he was one of the guys that I actually got to see. Pretty good.
Cam House out of North Hardin, point
North,
guard.
yep, love him. He plays for one of my guys, Slime out there at North Hardin, and I knew he was from Meade County. I knew when he transferred there last year, and I knew he was got great potential. And first and foremost, he got a great high school coach, and his high school coach, he's got a great assistant head coach there too at North Hardin. So those two guys do a tremendous job up there. Cam House will be really good for those guys as long as he continues to listen, because they just got a kid from Kentucky and Carry On Berry to Kennesaw State. And that's rare coming
Yeah,
from North Hardin. They normally don't have a kid go to that level, but they're changing the game out there. So, hats off to those dudes.
yeah. Keon Berry had what 20 offers, 22, something like that. Some
Very,
crazy amount of offers.
very talented player, very talented. And I also want
Another
to go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, I was just going to talk about another local guy in that perimeter is Rayshawn Grant out of Evangel Christian. I think what's his name, Tim Barnett's over there at that program.
hmm Well, I've seen some highlights of him. I haven't really seen him in person. I know Tim is trying to, you know, uh, put together some stuff at Evangel and
Oh,
kind of
he is putting together some
yeah,
stuff.
and he's bringing them back where they're relevant. You know what I mean? They're still relevant. So I think they're doing a tremendous job there too. And obviously they got a great coach in Larry Miller. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a veteran guy who's been around for a long time. If you know any of the backstory, I hired Larry Miller at Evangel when I was the athletic director there.
Oh
So,
yeah,
oh yeah, so I'm the one that hired him there. I'm the one that went to go find him. He was living in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and I went to go find him so he could be the new coach at Evangel. And he's done great since he's been there. Um, Tim is doing a very good job. He's just got to continue to do whatever he's doing and, continue to help lead those guys, because they got a pastor in Bob Rogers, and he supports the program pretty good. So, I wish them guys all the success too.
what about a kid named Matt Withrow from Oldham County? He's a guard. Yeah, I don't. I've not seen. I've seen like a lot of clips of him. I really like his upside. Oldham County also puts out some nice players as well. Out in North Oldham, they're starting to grow. Compared to Louisville and Lexington, like that's starting to be a little hot area for players.
Yeah. Well, he's got a phenomenal high school coach. He's playing for Chris Renner. So, Oldham County's in a good region. So I think Coach Renner's coached some real dudes, um, Division I dudes, and I just think the kids just got to continue to listen and just keep growing.
What do you know about Truck Jennings out of Adair County, out of the fifth region? Big
I
guy.
loved him. I watched him last year. I was talking to an AAU coach here about him, and I actually loved his potential. I just say, if he can just stay healthy, I love his potential. Yeah, I think he could be a really, really solid player.
Yeah, we've already spoke on Peter Patterson. I think
Yep.
that's all I've got on my list over. If you've not seen the list, you can find the list here on Pure Prospects. It's here on our page. Check it out. Subscribe. We have things like this over here all the time. Brandon. We were talking about these sophomores, man. We're just getting started. There's a lot of players out in the state, and plus, these kids are just sophomores. Nothing's really settled. A kid near the top today, might get passed by some kid we don't even know yet. Because they're going to grow several inches. They're going to improve athletically. Develop the jump shot. Like they're just going to or take on completely different roles, and recruiting can change just as fast. But there's several major developments like we were talking about. Mason Grivna, he's going to enter the season with offers from Kansas, Louisville, Creighton, Auburn, Ohio State, Georgia Tech, Florida State, Iowa, Indiana, Texas Tech. And then you got Trey Mack with LSU, Ole Miss, Wake Forest, UAB, Ohio, San Jose State, and among others. Elijah Owens with his Youngstown State offer. Those aren't projections; those are real deals. And college programs are already invested in our 2029 kids out of Kentucky. But like I said, that watch list is over here. If you're watching, drop us some kids out of the 2029 class. We know the two are at the top. Is there any other kids you want to knock out of those two classes, the 2028,
I do want to say this about Jordan Mitchell, right? And
Oh, yeah.
I do want to piggyback off of this. I think Jordan Mitchell's dad is a very bright person because he was a really good basketball player himself. Very good basketball player. I think for Jordan Mitchell, Nike just being around it so long, it's so political, right?
Yes,
I
sir.
think I think if Carlos and Jordan would switch and go to the Adidas 3SSB, that Carlos would get everything he's ever wanted. Because remember this, yeah, people can say Nike's the cream of the crop, but we had a dude in Kentucky that played 3SSB and Reed Shepard, and wasn't he the number 2 pick in the draft? And Reed Shepard played 3SSB?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm
He
not. I'm
did.
not certain on that
He
one.
did. I think if Carlos would be more open to other circuits like the Adidas 3SSB, Jordan would get everything he deserves. But right now, this Nike stuff is all political, and they show the kid love, but not the kind of love he deserves, though. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I'm pretty sure that opportunity's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's talk a little bit about recruiting for a second. Brandon Benner is sitting down with one of these 2028, 29 prospects, and that kid says, I want to play Division I basketball. What are you telling them right now?
What are you doing to get there? Um, are you going to school? You making good grades? Are you being respectful of your coaches? Are you doing what your coaches ask you to do? Or are you giving pushback? Because no coach is going to pick up the phone for you, man. If your parents are knuckleheads or you're a knucklehead, they're just not going to do it. It's not worth it.
What does a legitimate D1 prospect look like to you? How important are things like IQ, defense, physical development, shooting, size, body language,
Uh,
just playing winning ball?
a Division I athlete looks like to me like playing both ends. I want to look at the stat sheet and not just care about you scoring 25 and you shot 30 times to get 25. Or, I don't want to look at the stat sheet and you was 9 for 24 for 30
Not
points.
efficient. Yeah, not
That's not
efficient.
realistic. 9 for 24 for 30 points. That's
None of
not
these
that's not
kids are going to
efficient.
get 24 shots at the next
Yeah.
level.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of look at that or 9 for 24 for 24 points. So that's not real basketball. That's street ball. And I'm more looking so that a kid can play both ends of the court and show that you can play winning basketball. Because if you
That's why
show
they
you can
have
play,
analytics.
that's why you have it. So if you show that you can play winning basketball, those 2 to 3 guys in the state of Kentucky that can actually get on the phone and make something happen, they'll be willing to get on the phone and make those calls for you. But if you out there, doing this, not playing D, your guys blowing past you, you shooting with two guys in your face, nobody gonna get on the phone and put their name on the line for that. It's
Let me
not
ask you a
realistic.
question. Can you tell when a player is actually playing for college coaches or playing for social media?
Um, I don't think we get a lot of that these days. I don't think because these AU coaches hold these kids accountable. So there's no more like highlight. We trying to win. So we're trying to win so our AU team can keep this deal. And another 2029 kid that I do want to mention, um, I think he's got tremendous upside as well as Aaron Huffman. We didn't talk about
Yeah,
him.
Seneca, right?
No, he's at more now. He was at Seneca, but he's at more now, and he's got tremendous upside himself. He just has to um, find some hunger, find some fight, and find some mental toughness. Like, most big kids when they're young, you goofy, you play around, but Aaron's one of those kids. He got a lot of potential too, but people are asking him to grow up pretty fast, and he got a lot of potential, man. The potential's there, but it just now comes down to how much do you really love basketball. But the potential's there. He's got a great support system, and the potential's there, and like to see his continued growth as well.
All right, let's have fun with a little rapid fire. Brandon, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Mm.
The best player you've personally watched recently in Kentucky.
Mason Griffin,
2028 prospect people need to know.
Austin Sears,
2029 prospect people need to know. Other than Mason Gribner. We've done answered this. Let's hear it again.
say that last question again.
2029 prospect people need to know in Kentucky except for Mason Gribner.
Ray John Floyd, Jeremiah Queen, C.J. Sweeney, Ty Bryant,
Most underrated skill in high school basketball.
Camden Thompson.
What's the most underrated skill in high school
Oh,
basketball?
I thought you said most underrated player. Most underrated skill in high school basketball, defense.
Most overrated thing in recruiting.
Hype,
One thing guards need to improve.
efficiency, and IQ. Win and win not.
One thing yet one thing young bigs need to improve.
Running the floor, protecting the paint.
Better indicator of future success, talent or work ethic.
Work ethic.
If you're a college coach, what's the first thing you're looking for when you walk into a high school gym?
Parents of the prospect.
Parent.
Parents of the prospect.
Why's
Because
that?
every college coach I talk to, they recruits a kid. First, they ask me, where does the parent sit? Are they first row people? Do they sit up top and let the coach them? Do they sit in the middle and let the coach them? Or are they on the front row trying to coach their kid? I get those phone calls a lot.
Yeah, I've always heard the apple doesn't fall from the far from the tree. So coaches actually pay attention to those things
That's the
when a
first thing.
lot of
I can show you text messages in my phone. That's the first thing coaches pay attention to. How does the parent react in the stands? If you got one of them loud mothers or loud, they don't. That's hey man, we'll find somebody else. What position he plays? Shooting guard. We'll go to Mississippi. We'll go to Atlanta. We'll go to Florida and find that. We'll find somebody who's got some sense.
yeah. Well, Brandon, man, I appreciate you joining us today and giving players and families and perspective from Kentucky. You're in Louisville. You actually lived it. You're a high school All American. You played at U of L. You played professionally. You experienced the journey that these young guys are doing. It's just a different time period. For everybody watching, remember, what these watch lists are about. We're just trying to identify talent. We're tracking their development, and we're just creating real conversations about Kentucky basketball. Some of the players we've talked about today are already nationally recognized. Others are just beginning to build their names. But as I can guarantee, there are 2028 and 29 players we aren't talking about today who are going to explode on the scene. That's why Pure Prospects will continue traveling, evaluating, and watching film and talking with coaches to find them. If there's a player we need to see, drop his name in the comments or send Pure Prospect his film. Make sure you're following Pure Prospects, subscribe to Pure Prospects Substack, and stay locked in because we have more rankings, watch lists, player evaluations, recruiting news, and interviews coming. Tonight, I know we're going to have George Howard from Phenom. He just left Phenom United. He was with All How was at Stars for 24 years. He's
Right.
going to Yeah, he's going to be on at 7. Great basketball mind. And then at 9 o'clock, I'm going to have Tyler Bartley. He's going to be going in the senior year at Thomas Nelson High School. We're going to be talking to him. So stay tuned. It's going to be right here on Substack. Man, for Brandon Bender, I'm Cody Thomas. This has been Pure Prospects Live. We'll see you next time. Man,
Appreciate it.
thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.